I wanted to share with you why I got the Canon R7 as a videographer. I don't shoot wildlife photography. I don't shoot photography in general. I mainly do videography, so I wanted to share my thoughts about why I got this camera. First of all, I want to give you some context for why I made this switch. So I'm someone who used to shoot with the Canon SL2. If you don't know what that camera is, it's basically like the Canon M50. It's like a beginner camera to help you get started on YouTube. And so that is why I made this transition, but most of the people who review the Canon R7 who are like a videographer, they're usually coming from the opposite direction and talking about it. They're like someone who shoots with the Canon R5, they're shooting with like cinema glass and like all this pro gear, and then they're talking about the Canon R7 and how it's like less of a camera because they're used to shooting with like the red camera or something. So I just wanted to share my thoughts as someone who's coming from like the lower end of the spectrum coming up versus someone who is a veteran photographer, videographer, and like talking about the camera. So that's just some context to like who I am and why I got this camera. Basically then, to sum up why I got this camera, it's because it came with a lot of upgraded features that I didn't have previously in my old camera. The first new thing that I didn't have with my old camera was shooting in 4K. And I know that's like basically standard. You could even get like 4K on your cell phone, but my old camera didn't have 4K. And so this is awesome being able to shoot in 4K fine. I just feel like the image quality and the sharpness of my image is so much better now. Another advantage of this camera is that I can shoot at higher frame rates now. So now I can shoot at 60 frames per second in 4K, and I can also shoot at 120 frames per second in 1080p. And I've heard a lot of other people like knock it, like, oh, it's only 1080p and you don't have any audio with it. But for someone like me, I was used to shooting in 1080p, so it wasn't a big deal. I was just happy that I could shoot in a slower frame or in a faster frame rate to use it for slow motion. I was happy that I could do that. So for me, I was really excited about this because I like to do sometimes like B-roll, and it's nice to have that faster frame rate, even if it is only in 1080p, because a lot of the content I create is for social media and not a lot of people are streaming it in 4K anyway. So to me, I was just happy that it came with those faster frame rates. Another reason why I decided to get the Canon R7 is because it has an unlimited record time. Before, my old camera used to shut off after 30 minutes, and this was a problem when I tried to record longer videos, if I wanted to do a podcast or an interview with somebody, or if I just wanted to, set the camera up, hit record, and do a long time lapse, anything like that. I would just realize that my camera would shut off after 30 minutes, which just interfered in a lot of long take videos. Another upgrade with this camera is that it now has C-Log. And so this means I can just have more control over the coloring of my videos. I'm still learning and I'm still new with it, but I feel like that's a step in the right direction. Before, I used to not have the ability to shoot in C-Log, and so my footage was already basically done when I got it. It was basically already contrasted and saturated and all this stuff. Well, now I'm shooting with a flat profile, and so it just gives me more creative freedom, and it gives me the opportunity to learn how to color grade better and how to change my scenes so they look a little moodier, they look brighter or fun. So I like that it gives me that option and availability. This new camera, compared to my old one, has better image stabilization as well. And this is really noticeable actually when I shoot handheld. I'm someone who shoots with the 18 to 35 millimeter Sigma lens, which doesn't have image stabilization in the lens. And so I kind of depend more on the camera to do some image stabilization for me if I'm ever going to do something handheld. And I notice a huge difference compared to this camera, compared to my old camera. This one does a lot better job at just smoothing out the footage. Some people say like, oh, it might have rolling shutter and stuff. I haven't recorded enough handheld to like realize this yet or like fully notice, but I might even prefer rolling shutter versus like a jittery shot that I can't even save, because the jittery shot, when I tried to use like image stabilization in post, it would look warpy if I overdid it, and it just was subpar, I guess. But now with this camera having image stabilization in the camera, it really makes this lens look a lot better when I'm shooting handheld. Another problem with my old camera is that the battery life on those things were awful. And I think this is because I had the camera for a long time, and so the batteries were old. I never got updated batteries, but just for having the camera that long and the batteries were a lot smaller, so the battery life was only lasting me a little bit. Like I would get like 15 minutes of record time and then it's like they're dead. I need to go recharge it. Or some were even worse than that. It was like 10 minutes, I swear. So this one has a lot longer battery life. I can record multiple YouTube videos, one after another, shooting in 4K and still have better battery life than my old camera. So that's something that I really enjoy. And the last reason why I decided to get the Canon R7 is because it comes with way more features than my old camera. It comes with better autofocus with eye detection and people detection, animal detection, car detection. It also has zebras, which I didn't have before on my old camera. And it also has peaking when I'm shooting in manual focus, which helps me to just dial in the right focus. It also tells you what zoom level you're at on the camera. So it tells you you're shooting at 18 millimeters or you're shooting at 24 millimeters. It tells you all that information right inside the camera, which is really handy actually if you want to replicate the same shot. It comes with better dynamic range shooting in C-Log, so now I can shoot outdoors and not have a blown out sky or a really dark subject. It's a little better job at just getting the image in focus and the right contrast or whatever you call it. This camera also has more presets, which allows me to quickly change my camera settings. Just by switching the dial, I can go from shooting in normal mode to slow-mo, and all my manual settings will change in between each preset that I choose for it. This is really nice when I'm shooting run and gun, so as you can see, there's a whole lot more features in this camera compared to my older camera. Now, to someone like me who started with a beginner camera, switching to the Canon R7 feels like an upgrade in so many different ways. However, if I was shooting already with professional gear and I was a professional videographer with high quality equipment, then looking at the Canon R7, I could probably see a lot of faults with it because it doesn't compare to the high-level cameras. So that's why I think you just get different opinions and different viewpoints on how the Canon R7 actually is. So from someone like me, I really enjoy all these new upgrades and all these new features. When I decided to get the Canon R7, something else I looked at was the price, because I was also considering potentially just going for that professional route and getting a full-frame camera, but that was a lot more expensive to just get the camera body. But then also if I got a full frame camera, I knew that I would have to upgrade all my lenses to pro lenses. That way I can get the most out of my full frame camera. So the price point for all of that upgrade was a lot more than if I just got the Canon R7 with an adapter from RF to EF. Then it still lets me use all my lenses that I already had, but now I just have a better camera body that allows me to do more with recording. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not naive to the fact that this camera also comes with its own limitations, but to me, I just see a lot of the positives from where I came from. This actually addresses a lot of the issues that I had with recording with my beginner camera, but I don't have to spend the money for the pro grade cameras yet. So this is a nice way to kind of ease my way into it. And my thought process is a lot of cameras maintain their value. It's not like they just instantly go to zero. They maintain their value. So if I really do decide later in the year that I'm like, oh, I'm progressing and now I'm going to be pro, then it's like I can make the upgrade and still use this as a B camera, or I can sell it and still get a lot of my money back. So that's kind of my mindset of why I got the Canon R7. It was just a nice, easy transition for me to upgrade from what I had before. I feel like the Canon R7 will improve a lot of my work as a videographer, just doing small business videos and doing event videos. I feel like it'll really help the quality of my work. But in the same sense, I feel like 95% of the work really depends on like your lighting, your audio, your storytelling abilities. Like those are the things that clients usually look for. When I have a conversation with clients and they're looking for a tweak in the video that I made for them, the last thing they usually say is like, your color grade was slightly off, or what bitrate were you shooting this with, or what was your exposure set at? Usually they're only talking about like the storytelling, how could they craft a better message, what types of shots they're looking for. They usually never bring up all these other details that us as videographers sometimes focus on. So that's why I think just this is a great camera for someone like me. As long as I can get better at my storytelling, video, audio, all those things, I'll be able to continue to build clients. And then as the more clients I get, I'll be able to upgrade my gear and get better clients. So those are some of my thoughts. If this video was useful and helped you decide if you should get this camera, then please give this video a thumbs up. I also plan on recording some more content with this Canon R7, so if there's some more information or details or types of shots you want me to get with this, let me know in the comment section so I can make some more videos about this camera. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you on another one.